What if there were always patterns, hidden in plain sight, before the headlines, before the investigation, before the arrest? There was a chart, and in that chart, precision and control, and something much darker beneath the surface. This is the astrology of Rex Heuermann. Because there is no confirmed birth time, I'm using the solar chart method, placing the sun on the ascendant and casting the chart for noon at the place of birth. This allows me to analyze the psychological blueprint through planetary alignments, sign, and house, while understanding the moon may shift 6 degrees to one side or another, depending on the exact time. But some aspects don't change, and those are the ones that matter. Rex Heuermann is charged with 7 murders spanning from 1993 to 2010. He is expected to change his plea to guilty at his next hearing on April 8th, 2026. At the center of his chart is a Virgo sun, and Virgos are known for being practical, detail-oriented, analytical perfectionists with a critical nature. What happens when these characteristics take a darker turn? This isn't just a Virgo sun, it's a stellium of Virgo energy. His sun is conjunct Venus and Pluto in Virgo. When Venus is conjunct the sun, the themes of attraction, desire, and personal values are fused directly into the identity. This isn't something separate from who the person is. It is who they are. In Virgo, this becomes incredibly precise. Virgo doesn't just notice details, it evaluates them. It categorizes, refines, and filters. So with the sun conjunct Venus in Virgo, there's often a highly specific type, a strong preferences around physical traits, behavior, or presentation, a tendency to idealize perfection, but only within a narrow definition. This is not broad attraction. This is selective, discerning, sometimes restrictive, perfectly describing his victims, petite women in their 20s who advertised their services online and were sex workers. Rex Heuermann's Virgo sun is conjunct Pluto. Pluto intensifies everything it touches. It takes Virgo's need for perfection and turns it into obsession. It takes attention to detail and sharpens it into fixation. This is not just someone that sees details. This is someone that can't stop seeing details. This isn't just attraction, it's identity. What he values, what he's drawn to, what he fixates on becomes part of who he is. And in Virgo, that means detail, selectivity, meticulousness. But when you add Pluto into the mix, that idiosyncrasy can turn into a compulsion. Virgo is ruled by Mercury, the ruler of Rex Heuermann's entire chart. And Mercury is retrograde in Libra. Libra seeks balance, harmony, and equilibrium, but Mercury retrograde turns the mind inward. Thoughts don't move forward easily. They loop, reprocess, refine, and distort. And Mercury forms a sesquiquadrate, a rare tense aspect to Saturn in Aquarius. Saturn restricts, it suppresses, it creates pressure. This is mental tension that doesn't resolve, it accumulates. And Saturn in Aquarius brings in themes of detachment, control, and emotional distance. Aquarius is traditionally ruled by Saturn, but also by Uranus. And in this chart, Uranus is in Virgo, conjunct Pluto in the 12th house. Behind that controlled exterior, Uranus and Pluto sit in the 12th house, the hidden mind, the unconscious, what operates out of view. Uranus disrupts, Pluto intensifies. Together, they create extremes. Precision on the surface, but something far more volatile underneath. This is a split between what is presented and what is concealed. Order and chaos existing at the same time. Another significant aspect here is a yod formation. The midpoint of the Sun-Pluto conjunction is in conjunct Saturn in the 5th house of expression and desire, and Jupiter in the 7th house of other people, relationships, representing the victims in forensic astrology. A yod is often referred to as a finger of fate. It creates pressure that demands release, but never quite finds balance. It points to a life shaped by internal tension, seeking an outlet. 7th house in forensic astrology represents the victims. And on the 7th house cusp in Rex Heuermann's chart is Pisces. Pisces is ruled by Neptune, the planet of illusion, secrets, and things that are hidden. And Neptune is in Scorpio in the 2nd house. Scorpio intensifies everything it touches: secrecy, control, power, and the taboo. It is deeply tied to themes of sex and hidden dynamics. In the 2nd house, this brings in questions of value, possession, and money. So now we're looking at a complex pattern where vulnerability and illusion intersect with control, secrecy, and value. But Neptune doesn't stand alone. It forms a square to Saturn in Aquarius in the 5th house of expression, desire, and personal gratification. Saturn restricts, it suppresses, it contains. So this creates tension between illusion and control, between vulnerability and restraint, between desire and limitation. Neptune, the victims under pressure from Saturn, which shifts this from passive symbolism into something compressed, contained, controlled, and building beneath the surface until something forces it to release. Co-ruling the 7th house is Jupiter retrograde in Aries, and Jupiter is in the 7th house of victims. Jupiter expands whatever it touches. It magnifies, increases, and in the house of victims, that expansion raises a chilling question. How many are we looking at? Could there be more than what's been uncovered? Jupiter is in Aries, a sign ruled by Mars. This isn't passive energy. This is action, impulse, aggression. Jupiter doesn't just touch this, it amplifies it. And Mars, the ruler of that energy, is in Scorpio, controlled, intense, calculated, placed in the 2nd house. It ties right back into money, possession, control, and is ruler of the 8th house, sex, power, and transformation. It connects directly to deeper, more complex dynamics. This isn't scattered energy. It's focused, directed, and escalating. The moon, representing emotional instinct and women, sits at 0 degrees of Leo at noon, meaning it could fall in late Cancer or early Leo, depending on the time of birth of Rex Heuermann. But one thing that does not change: it forms a square to Mars in Scorpio. This is tension between emotion and action, instinct and force. The moon square Mars creates volatility, quick reactions, heightened sensitivity, and impulse under pressure. No matter what time of day he was born, this aspect remains. In fact, it stands out even more because it's the only major aspect Mars makes in his chart, which means that Martian energy doesn't diffuse, it concentrates. This chart tells a story of control, pressure, and hidden intensity, of a mind that sharpens details into obsession, of emotional tension that seeks release, and of dynamics involving power, vulnerability, and force. Astrology doesn't excuse actions. It reveals patterns, and sometimes those patterns are impossible to ignore. If you want more deep dives into astrology and true crime, subscribe to the channel, because sometimes the truth isn't just in the evidence, it's written in the stars.